Hi, friends. Laura from Cool Mom and Collected. I am so excited to share my birth story with you guys, which I'm going to do today. And I just wanted to thank everybody for all of the love and the prayers and the kind words. Honestly, if you guys can imagine, there's the mailman. Oh, not awkward at all. I'm not talking into a camera. I'm just sitting in the car with my baby. I am here with my sweet new baby, my baby boy, and he was born on October 23rd, and I'm gonna get into telling you guys all about his birth story. So let the mailman pass. It's actually a mail lady. If she looks, I'll give a wave so that it's not as awkward. Okay, here she goes. Is she gonna look? Is she gonna look before she goes? No, impressive self-control. I'm gonna take you guys down memory lane. I might have to feed the babe while I do it. We are so thankful and blessed. And I just have to say, the Father took care of so many concerns that I had this go around. If you guys don't know, I have two other children, both through unmedicated birth, which was my desire. And this third one, I had a few concerns, and I'll tell you what they were, and then I'll tell you my story. You guys know I'm living in an RV. So one of my concerns was, where will I be during the labor? We knew we were going to be around the hospital, but the current RV location we were at was 45 minutes away. So that was concern number one. With my second baby, I almost had her in the car on the way to the hospital. So that was a concern, as I wanted to make sure I wasn't going to give birth in the car. Concern number two, I've always gone into labor at night when my husband was working overnight. So I was always at home sleeping. I would get woke up in the middle of the night with contractions. It wasn't, a fun feeling to be at home alone, and I'd have to call my husband. So that was another concern of mine, is like, will my husband be home, or am I going to get woken up in the middle of the night again? My third concern was that my mom, I just didn't know if she would make it in time for me to get to the hospital. So who's going to watch the kids? That was another concern. Those were my three main concerns. And the Father was so good. I can't wait to tell you guys how he worked it. But let's get right into it. My due date was October 31st, and with my previous two, I actually came 5 days early and 5 days late. So I really anticipated going into labor a little bit before or a little bit after. I have really been nonstop, and on top of having two kids, this whole pregnancy has just flown moving into the RV, doing renovations, which you can see on my Instagram, just like getting ready for the baby, nesting nonstop. It's been really, really, really crazy. Just make sure I'm in focus. I am. By the way, this video gave me a reason to get ready in the morning, so thank you. The morning of my birth, I had no idea that I was gonna go into labor. I went to IKEA, I brought my two kids, I drove all the way to IKEA, I made some returns, I did a little bit of shopping. I went to Giant and I got all the ingredients we needed, and I started to feel a little like my body's telling me I just need to lay down. It was Friday going into Saturday, and it was our Sabbath time. So basically my goal was just to get everything ready. I wanted the house spotless. I wanted the crock pot cooked. I wanted the kids in in bed by the time my husband got home. So I had a lot on my list. We ended up getting home, and my son had his Bible Zoom class, his weekly Bible Zoom class that his 18-month-old sister also joins him on. We were sitting down and their Zoom class, talking to the teacher, doing all that, and all of a sudden I start getting back labor. And I'm really, really freaking out. I've never gotten false labor before, and I've never gotten back labor unless it was labor. I was kind of freaking out. Why am I getting back labor during the day? Usually I don't go into labor unless it's night. It's 8 days early. What is this? I decided to lay down and just kind of take breaths, just check on the contractions and see how quick they were coming. Well, turns out they're not stopping. And anytime I get up to do something, they come on stronger. So I just laid down. I'm home alone with the kids. I call my mom, and she's in the car about to go 3.5 hours away from me. I remember being kind of annoyed and irritable. Why would you go away a weekend before my birth? Stay in your area, stay put, so that if I do go into labor, you're around and not 3.5 hours away. My last daughter, I gave birth in 4 hours. Don't go anywhere. When my mom heard that I was having back labor, she was like, absolutely, I'm gonna stay. I'll actually head over to you now, so whether you go into labor or you don't, I'll just be there to help you with the kids, because my husband was working all weekend. I'm so excited. I'm like, okay, great, thank you so much. My mom's on her way. I called my husband and I told him, babe, I'm getting back labor. And the good news was he was already on his way home, guys. So are you starting to see the answers to prayer lining up? I didn't get contractions in the middle of the night while my husband was at work. My husband was actually on his way home. My mom wasn't 3.5 hours away. She was actually on her way to me. Really, really thankful that this was the case. As badly as I wanted to clean and get ready, I had to just lay down because every time I moved, I would get more and more contractions. Picture this, guys. Pregnant lady trying to get stuff done. She can't, so she's laying down. Her 3-year-old is participating very obediently in a Bible Zoom class, and her 18-month-old daughter is wreaking havoc. I had folded clothes. She started throwing all over the place, food all over the floor. I was so helpless and I literally had to rest. So my husband was like, Laura, just let her do whatever. Don't worry, we'll clean it up. But it was bad, guys. We live in an RV. We live in a tiny RV and there was not a spot on the floor that wasn't covered. This little girl knew that I could not stop her. Even took a picture, maybe I'll put it right here, of me with my feet up on the couch while I was in labor, while I was waiting for my husband and my mom to get there. I had to let go. The second my husband got home, I remember his face when he walked in. He didn't realize that she was as naughty as I said. I told him, okay, you got the kids. I'm gonna call my midwife and lay down. I called my midwife who had delivered my last baby, and she was a little shocked that I could think that I was in labor. So she was kind of like, look, drink a crap load of water. You might just be dehydrated. Drink so much water and then just like lay down and the contraction should go away. I drank 5 tall glasses of water, laid down on my bed when my husband was there. They kept coming. It was probably a huge praise that I drank that water. I would have been dehydrated if I didn't. So that was another praise. But I was laying on the bed, breathing in, breathing out. And even when I had the contractions, I remember just letting them roll over me like ocean waves. The pain intensifies. And then it slowly comes down. And I literally was like a cow, guys, or like a horse. I was channeling a cow or a horse giving birth. And I was just laying down, letting the waves of contractions roll over me. And you know what? It worked. If I sat up, I was actually in pain, so I just laid down. And the verse that I continued to say over and over and over, you keep him in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on you because he rests in you. And I'm not even joking. I'm pretty sure my husband thought I was speaking in tongues or doing something crazy because he couldn't tell what I was saying. But that's what I was saying. I ended up taking out my contraction timer, which I'll even put my little contractions here so that you guys, I'll just scroll so that you guys can see how my contractions were going. But my midwife had also said, don't call back until your contractions are every 5 minutes for a minute. Every 5 minutes. Put it here what I'm trying to say. At that point, I was kind of all over the place. I was like 6 minutes, 7 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 6 minutes. So my husband was running like a chicken with his head cut off. He was cleaning, he was feeding the kids, he was doing all this stuff. And I remember just being like, honey, just please, just like get the bags packed. Like the baby's hospital bag. I had packed that the night before. Had no clue, but I just happened to have packed it the night before. My bag wasn't packed at all. So my husband is running around, packing my bag, packing his bag. I felt like we should go to the hospital because I did not want to give birth in the car like I almost did with my daughter. I'd rather get there 3 hours early and labor in the parking lot than get there like as I'm pushing the baby out. Well, I called my mom and I said, just meet us at the hospital, which she was like, sure. So we put the kids in the car. I got out to the car, I called my midwife, and I was like, hey, I just want to let you know I'm heading to the hospital. She was like, what, already? Like, are you at the point that I said to make sure, you are? And I was like, well, no, but I feel like I'm going into labor, and I'd rather be there 45 minutes early than leave 45 minutes when I'm like 2 minutes away from giving birth. So she understood and told me, okay, well, I just want to let you know, if you get there, what are you going to be, like laboring in the parking lot? And I was like, yeah, because I don't want to be giving birth in the car. So I trusted my instinct. She trusted me. She did question me a bit. I remember thinking, I'm so nervous of this car experience. This was another concern because I was afraid I was going to give birth. I was afraid it was going to be just like the worst car riding experience, because if you guys know, giving birth sitting down, going into labor sitting down is not comfortable. Maybe on a ball, but not in a chair buckled in and for 45 minutes. So God is so good, guys. And I didn't understand it at the time, but I was getting so disappointed because as we were driving the 45 minutes and my mom was already at the hospital waiting, I noticed my contractions went from 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes to 7 minutes to 8 minutes. And I was getting so embarrassed and frustrated. Little did I know it was God's faithfulness that he made me able to ride in the car 45 minutes without serious pain. I mean, I had long breaks in between, guys. I had like 7 and 8 minute breaks in between painful contractions. I was so embarrassed. I was like, oh my gosh, my midwife was probably right. They're going away. And my husband was like, so what, Laura? What's the worst that happens? Like, we go back, it's okay. We end up getting there, and I'm a little disheartened and disappointed at this time. My kids are sleeping in the back. I see my mom, and I actually really had to pee. So guys, I'm not gonna lie. I squatted right there, pulled my pants down to the parking lot, and I just peed on the floor. I just peed, and you can imagine how much pee came out when I drank that 5 cups, those 5 glasses of water. There was a lot of pee. So much pee that my husband actually made us move the car so that I wasn't standing in pee while I was laboring. He had a point. Who cares? Like, I'll roll in this pee right now. I don't care. Are you ready to see the faithfulness of God? I get out of the car. The second I step out of the car, my contractions go from 7 to 8 minutes to like 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 2 to 3, back down where I needed it. So that entire time that I was in the car, I know that the Father slowed down my contractions so that I was able to peacefully ride. He took care of all of that anxiety, and he got me to the hospital back with low contractions, where with lower contractions, you're closer to giving birth. I call my midwife, and she's like, okay, so you're there. Like, I told her, yeah, my contractions slowed down. But then she started noticing my contractions pick up. She knows me. She knows I'm like a tough cookie, I guess. And she was like, you're going to give birth. I'm just going to come over. So she comes over, and she's kind of insisting that I go into the hospital, kind of like I'm ready. My husband is like pushing on my back as I'm laboring. He would push on my back, which basically there's a certain part of your back. If you push, it will alleviate the contractions. So he's pushing on my back, and then it's done. And I'm back up, and I'm talking, and then, oh, it's coming back. And they're getting closer together. So my midwife walks with me. She walks with me through the parking lot to the hospital with my husband. My mom switches cars, takes the kids back home. Love her. So she gets me the wheelchair, and I actually ride backwards on it. It's more comfortable. It allows the baby to continue to descend without like sitting on a hard surface and basically not really opening your body up, not letting gravity help you. So I'm like kneeling on the chair, holding on to it, and she's pushing me through the hospital. She's like, okay, Laura, I'm gonna check you. She rolls me over on my back. She checks me. This is my first time ever being checked because I don't like to be checked before. She checks me, and she's like, okay, you're dilated. You're fully dilated, and you're ready to push. I could not believe it. Again, this is the second time that I have got to the hospital and been ready to push the baby out. Only this time the baby's head wasn't crowning like the last time, thanks to me listening to my mommy instincts and just getting to the hospital parking lot ASAP. I got into my famous go-to position, which is basically hugging the bed head. Imagine crawling on the bed and then just hugging the back of the bed, like the head of the seat, just hugging it. So I'm up there, and I can't believe like I'm ready to push. It almost feels too soon. So I had the quickness of being ready to push with my second pregnancy with the not ready to push of my first pregnancy. So I'm like really nervous. I got really tense, guys. This entire pregnancy, I'm usually a researcher. I didn't review anything. I didn't review how to push. I really wasn't prepared, but I decided I had no choice, obviously. I got water, I had like 5 nurses in there and my midwife. They all had hands on me, which was really, really helpful because it helped alleviate the pain of the contraction in my lower back. They were coaching me, my husband in my face. He's the one that I need. He really is like the one that I look at the entire time during birth. It's like, if he wasn't there, I would be so nervous. And I'm just so thankful. Like, I can look at him, and even sometimes when he's not telling me the right thing to do, I just rather look at him than any of the nurses. But it's so cute. Like, he'll breathe with me and he'll help me. He was breathing with me, helping me, reminding me like what to do, like bear down, like doing it all with me, just like the past 2 times. And it was just so sweet. And guys, I probably pushed for 30 minutes. I remember at one point, I screamed, "Mommy!" And yes, I do grunt that low because it helps get the baby out. Just remember, like not saying I can't do it, but feeling like I couldn't do it. The burning ring of fire did occur. It was, it was very hot and difficult. And, it feels like the baby is just kind of stuck mid-contraction, halfway in, halfway out. Sorry, TMI, guys. But basically, I pushed and I pushed and I pushed. And thank God, when the head finally comes out, like, it felt so relieving. And then I pushed out a little more and a little more. Oh my gosh, guys, I'm like feeling the pain as I tell you. I'm sorry, this is such TMI. But as I pushed him, he finally came out. With everything else that you moms who give birth know what comes out. But he finally came out. Thank God, no rips, no tears. TMI again, but everything was just wonderful. Like, everything was wonderful. He was out. I had to roll over. My husband caught him, put him on me, delayed cord clamping, all that good stuff. And, he was like ready to nurse. He cried, started nursing like effortlessly. It was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. Once he came out, it was like instant relief, like nothing had happened. The Father is just so good with how he has shown his faithfulness. And I've told my friends, guys, like, this pregnancy and birth didn't have to go this well for God to be good. He is good always. And here is the mailman again. Sorry, mailwoman. But he is always good, guys. Like, no matter what, it did not need to go this way. And I was prepared that even if it didn't go this way, to tell you guys that God is still good, that God is good. And he is. He is so good. And thank God that all these issues that he took care of, the baby was here, the baby was healthy. Of course, uterine contractions postpartum was the most painful thing I had to endure, as well as getting these nips, pardon me, back into breastfeeding. This little boy coming into our life has been amazing. My kids are obsessed. They love him. I'm so thankful for you guys and for all of the prayers and support that you gave even after the baby was born. And that's my birth story. Thank you so much for listening to this long, unmedicated birth story. You can read about it on my blog as well if you want. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.